Hey everybody, welcome to another Combustion Chamber Live. We're here at Cars for the Cure. This is a great charity and fundraising event. We've got JDM, German Power, and of course, classic American muscle. Let's get after it. All right, we're getting things started off right here with Mike's Porsche 991 GT3 RS. If you're familiar with the channel, you know that this was our Season 2 finale. We went to Sebring with this car. He's an outstanding driver. It has been modified, but it's already a great car directly from the factory. But this thing, I'm gonna tell you guys, having driven it, it made me a Porsche fan overnight. I mean, I already liked the 911 Turbo. I've driven a Boxster, really like that, but this car inspires driver confidence. The only car I would put on par with this is Huracan Performante. Is my favorite modern driver confidence inspiring cars. And we'll come around here, and I'm going to tell you guys, this was a ton of fun to drive just on the street. Of course, we obeyed all traffic laws except when we took it to Mexico and went faster. Look at that. And it's a beautiful car too. And these are performance seats, but they're pretty comfortable. Like, I had no problem either riding shotgun on the track or driving it, you know, in terms of feeling comfortable. But this thing is wicked. And of course, he's got that spoil on the Combustion, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But a lot of work has been done to this. Dundon Motorsports sponsored this episode, and they provided a complete exhaust system for this vehicle. So I definitely want to thank Dundon for sponsoring that episode. And right next to it is a ZL1 1LE. You've seen this one before, I think. And this is a very powerful car. Of course, it's tastefully modified throughout. You know, if you're super familiar with this car, you'll see that, you know, he's got that cover right there, and he's got this with the real subtle Chevy performance, just some nice clean engine dress up. Of course, it's supercharged, well over 600 horsepower. And here's something that he did that is really cool. If you follow the photography on our Facebook page, that 021 is a tribute to a mutual friend who was on the show. We actually had his Petty Edition Mustang, and his was number 21 of only 100 made. And his name was Ramon, and he was a really nice guy. So very close friends of his have that on there on their cars in the same location it would be on his Mustang. As kind of a tribute, unfortunately, he passed away. But what's great about Ramon is that he was one of our first guests on Combustion Chamber before we even had an episode out. We had to shoot a bunch of episodes first. So he took, you know, he took a leap of faith with us. I know he really liked the episode. He's got a great family. So I like to point that out every chance I get, because people still remember him, as well they should, because he was a great guy. And of course, this is a gorgeous interior. He added the 1LE badge on the dash right over there. Red paddle shifts. He's got one of my favorite things on any car, the American flag right there. Real nice and subtle though. He also found 1LE center caps. So this car is, you know, it's a beast to begin with. It's a track car you can drive on the street, but the Camaro has come such a long way, and as a huge fan of Camaro, see it where we are now is fantastic. And he's got some more great Camaro news on the way, but I'll wait for that to pop up at the next show. And we come down here and we got a whole slew of domestic firepower. We've got a 1969 Z28 Camaro, the last of the last of the first gen. The first generation only lasted for 3 years, 1967, 68, and 69. And as you can see, this engine probably makes Greenpeace people cry. Good. Beautiful restoration, incredibly clean car. Really nice resto mod. I like, you know, he's got the aftermarket gauges, but he's got the interior still has its original kind of look and feel to it. It's not completely redone throughout. As some of you might know, me and my father restored a 1967 Camaro Super Sport together. And I love these cars. First gens are some of my favorites. Of course, the 1969 is a very popular car. And we'll come back around this way. Big old milk. Man, that's massive. Right next to it, some modern power. A C7 Z06 convertible. Red on red. Now, I have never seen that before. Usually it's black or some white interior or some sort of two-tone with red maybe in some of it. Now, the dash, part of the dash is still black, but those got those bright red Corvette seats, which you kind of think, when you think of a lot of classic Corvettes, you think white with the red interior. But that red on red is pretty cool. And right next to another C7 Grand Sport. Beautiful looking car. Love the dark, that maroon color. I wouldn't know exactly what the factory name of it is. And right next to it, a car that I absolutely love, that I see at shows pretty often, is this Audi R8 with a matte black, carbon fiber, and red accents run throughout this vehicle. Really good looking aftermarket wheels. They're noticeable, but they're tasteful. And what's great about this car is not the luggage in the passenger seat, but it is a stick shift. So this is a V10 car, convertible stick shift. I love stick shift cars. Obviously, growing up on domestic muscle, we all love it. Or to save the manuals and things like that. But this is great to see. Beautiful red stitching, carbon fiber. I mean, this is a good-looking car, and I always like to highlight it when it comes out to shows, especially this part right here. A lot of people might have blacked that out, or just maybe even made it red. But being that matte silver on this matte black, with that little red accent right there, man, it's such a good-looking car. And it's got a big old butt. So definitely a lot of nice things out here today. Of course, there's lots of enthusiast cars here, but there's also lots of dealerships. We've got many out here today. These beautiful cars. Some bigger than others, but still kind of smaller rides. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon for instant notifications when we go live with new episodes. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, sometimes Twitter. If you really love us, you'll go find us on Patreon. Actually, there will be a link right below for all of that. Nice lineup of BMWs. And it's good to see enthusiasts and dealerships out here, because this is a great event for a great cause. So you've got Range Rovers, and Jeep, Dodge, Mini, and some more exotics and American muscle coming up soon. Now this is something really neat. A Triumph Spitfire. Beautiful, beautiful car. And you don't see a lot of these. It's pretty rare that you find them at a show. And I'm glad to see this one's out here today. Got the clamshell hood, and I love these smaller cars because they're real nimble, they're real agile, they're fun to drive. It is a good looking car. Next to it, classic Mopar. Gorgeous purple Challenger with that white vinyl roof. Looks fantastic. I love that body style, and I love that beautiful purple paint. But check this out. This is gorgeous. This big body Cadillac here. Custom paint, custom wheels. Look at the beautiful detail in this paint here. Try to get you as close as I can. Looks like spider webs. Look at those wheels too. I love those solid wheels. That's a good looking car. I'm kind of curious if this is a year I'm not familiar with. Those fins on the back there. If those were something that the owner custom did. It's a 1969 Cadillac DeVille. That's what the sign says. So I wonder if, obviously it's been lowered and it's got this beautiful paint on it, but I wonder if that fin back there is factory or something that they did. They've really cleaned the car up. It looks fantastic. One thing I can tell you is that I know those speaker moldings right there, those are probably not original. I don't think vehicles from '69 came with quite that many speakers. But that's great, because I like cruising and I like my music. So for me, even an air conditioner is optional. But I love those matched painted wheels. Right here, we've got some more classic America icons. We've got a classic Chevrolet pickup truck. I've seen this truck before and I love it. It's a beautiful dark green color, as you can see. And what's interesting that the owner has done is, usually when these are restored, This entire front section is all chrome. This one happens to be painted black with a black bow tie and a little extra black, you know, right there. But most people, you know, it's chromed out. I think it would look good chrome, but it's great to see somebody kind of taking a classic like this and really making it their own. There's not a lot of classic trucks you see. I mean, there's a great Central Florida classic truck club that I've worked with in the past. Great people, but you know, it's great to see one of these trucks in such great condition and with a lot of thought put into making it their own. And of course, it's got a little hard to see in there, but beautiful classic big gauges. Interiors black and green, very beautiful. And right next to it is a gorgeous bright orange 454 Chevelle. A classic American icon muscle car. And I love these a lot. I think they're good looking. I think this one looks particularly good in that bright, vivid orange. Very slick, very clean. He's got the Boyd, yeah, those are boycotting, aren't they? I don't know. It's got gorgeous 5-spokes on there. And this car was just such a huge hit when it came out in 1970. And it's not the first year of the Chevelle, obviously, but when they put that 454 in it, I mean, that was a big, big deal. And it was king of the streets. And that was one of the last few years of the muscle car era, unfortunately. And right here, we've got a beautiful 1970 Superbird. Big, beautiful, green. And yes, that wing in the back is functional. The faster you drive this car, the more that it squats to the ground and produces more downforce. So yes, all of this is actually functional. Very much a car of its time in terms of design, but still an outstanding vehicle. And he's got his Super Commando engine in there. That's pretty wild. Classic 1963 split window Stingray. And these cars are highly coveted by collectors and Corvette owners because it's the only year where the rear window was split like that. The rest it's just a solid piece. Gorgeous, gorgeous car. You'll be hard pressed to find a 63 in bad condition. They're all really well taken care of, and this one is no exception. Very clean car, beautiful bright red. Love the polished caps with the spinner. I'm sure it's millions, but that's a good-looking car and in great condition. That's gorgeous. And we spin around right here. We got some more classic Corvette action. I love this body style as well. And there's a few Corvettes lined up right here. So we've got a variety of generations of Corvettes out here. We've got classics like this. Beautiful silver. Has the red stripe right there. I normally associate that with a Grand Sport. That's a neat accent. I like it a lot. Kind of breaks up the solid silver. Beautiful red interior. Like I said earlier, you know, we talked about the red on red C7 that we saw over there, but this one has that red and silver. Really good looking car. All red inside. Got the removable top. And right next to it a C7. Good looking car. I love that maroon kind of dark color. I love the polished wheels. You know, a lot of people are putting black wheels on cars like this, and that's fine if that's what you want to do, but I really think the polished wheels look so much better on these cars, and I love this color interior. I think it really, really goes well with the maroon. It looks like he's got some sort of cover there with the Corvette logo on it, but a great car. Spin around, we've got a nice, awesome, clean C6 right next to another 6th gen Grand Sport. And of course that air intake right there that you see in front is functional. The arrow on this car is functional. Got a lot of extra power on this one. Beautiful looking car. Classic red Corvette. You know the Prince song. But this is great. I love once again, I love the polished wheels on the red. Got a beautiful black interior. Lots of extra power. I'm going to take a wild guess this thing can scoot a little bit. Of course, at any show, there is no shortage of Mustangs. We got this beautiful sort of off-white fastback, beautiful looking car in absolutely great condition. Got that blue Ford block, polished accents and things. You know, you got the polished air cleaner, valve covers with Ford Racing on it. And right next to it, a green fastback. Now, this is not necessarily a Bullet car, but you know, when people see an older green Mustang, they think Bullet. Of course, that's a great movie with Steve McQueen, one of the best car chases, a classic car chase. And I do love this green metallic. It really looks good on this car, and I love Bullet, so it works for me. Even though this is not a quote-unquote Bullet edition, still a good-looking car. And right next to it, we've got a convertible red Mustang. So it's got a Cobra engine in there. It's got a little extra power. I assume it does. Not too super familiar with Ford engines. I grew up on Chevys. And speaking of Chevrolet, gorgeous 1969 Camaro, the 454 Resto mod. Probably lowered a little bit. Aftermarket wheels, of course. Aftermarket, well, some custom work throughout, I would say. Those valve covers are gorgeous with the classic Chevrolet font. I patterned Combustion Chambers logo after that font, and everybody tells me they can't read it, but I think it looks cool, so I stuck with it. Great looking car. It has the houndstooth stitching on the interior, and then a classic or a custom design on the headrest there. But good looking car. Got a Hearst shifter there. Aftermarket stereo there. A lot of people do that though, because you know you want to cruise, but you want your music too. Shelby GTH, which stands for Hertz Rental Car. Back, I believe in the 60s or 70s, I can't be exactly sure, they made a special edition Mustang, the black with this Hearst gold. Or is it wasn't Hertz, sorry, Hertz. I'll say that. I gotta work on that pronunciation. Anyways, you know, it's a rental car company. Well, they made another edition for these later years like this. So that's what GTH means. The Hertz edition, not Hearst shifter, Hertz. I mispronounce stuff all the time. I went to public school. But a great looking car. Definitely a collector's piece. They actually had one of these in a movie. Not this newer one, an older one. Can't remember what the name of the movie was. They actually ended up blowing up the car, which I thought was a shame. It's a newer movie. It's got Josh Brolin in it. He drives the car, but I can't think of the movie off the top of my head. But that Hertz gold and black look really good together on this car. Awesome luxury here as well as performance. This is a Mercedes Maybach with a V12. Beautiful, beautiful car. I'm actually going to take you around this way because they have one of the doors open here. And I want you to check out how good looking this interior is and how luxurious it is. You got your perforated seats, your Mercedes infotainment system. But what's great about this is that screen right there in the center. That actually serves, it's actually a dual screen. And I don't mean it has a split screen option. The way the screen is designed, it'll project a single image, but that image will look different for the person in the passenger seat or in the driver's seat. So if the driver needs additional information, perhaps a map, see where they're going, but the passenger wants to see something else, the passenger will actually see a different image. We actually have a short video of it on our Instagram page. If you want to check it out, it actually explains it while it's turned on. And we come back here and you've got your tray tables, your Mercedes book, and if you check that out right there, you know, you can kick your legs up, plenty of space. Got your screens, and I can't imagine what else is all tucked away in here, but you can see that it's very luxurious, very beautifully designed. If you've ever seen, of course, we know Mercedes makes a quality product, but Maybach itself actually takes things to a 9. There's actually a Maybach car in the third Transformers film. That's the convertible limo that the character Simmons is driving around in. And that car cost $3.5 million. It's a very special edition that they loaned out for that film. But the owners of this beautiful car also have this gorgeous car. Now, you know, speed is more my style, and this is definitely a great car. GTC, twin turbo motor. Once again, yet another beautiful interior. I really love all the silver on the center console right there. It almost looks like silver carbon fiber. Once again, with that infotainment system that is coincidentally shared in Aston Martins. You can find it in the new Vantage and DB11. Of course, this engine's got the turbos right on the top there. And this configuration, not this exact engine, I believe it's a slightly different configuration, but they do put these in other vehicles. Great looking car, real aggressively styled front end. Got a nice wide stance. This thing must handle like a dream though. I can only imagine what it's like to actually lay on the throttle of this car. So we saw that classic Chevy truck over there. Now we see this classic Ford pickup truck. Once again, this one's very different. A lot of people will just chrome everything on the front end. They have it on this one. It's got a nice cream colored inlay with a beautiful red paint job. Some nice pinstriping. Really, really clean truck. And we come up in that cream color and red runs throughout the interior, even on the gauge cluster there. With beautiful woodwork in the back for the bed. Really, really gorgeous looking truck. I love the classics, you know that. And this one is done very well. I had to ask the people that brought this car out just to double check if this was an MP412C. I need to brush up on my McLaren names, but I actually rode in one of these, a black one, many years ago when the car had first come out. Got to ride in it in Austin. I haven't driven one of these though. We haven't had a McLaren on the show yet. But this is a beautiful orange metallic color. You know, in Texas we would call it a burnt orange. Got some carbon fiber accents throughout. Has the spoiler deployed. Very slick car at the time. It was very cutting edge. It's still a great car though, of course. Now McLaren, it just keeps one-upping itself and everybody else. Right now the 720S is the big thing, or the McLaren Senna, the P1. I mean, these are just outstanding vehicles they make. And right next to it, we get to see another GT3 RS today. And this is in that beautiful green color. You know, Porsche's colors are wild, they're vivid, but they're not metallic or pearl. They're not flat and boring either. Of course, this has got white aftermarket wheels on it. And like the one that we had on our show, it does have some, you know, racing components to it. I mean, it's pretty much a race car from the factory to begin with, but we've got our harnesses, our cage, and once again, a very beautiful interior. Great looking car. And it happens to be parked right next to a beautiful M Series, an M6 if I'm not mistaken, BMW, in a pearl gray color with gold, or I wouldn't call them gold. I don't know the exact color, but that color combination looks pretty slick. Really good job on that. All right, here we got a couple of cars that I really like. The Pontiac Solstice. Now, I've driven the Saturn Sky equivalent of this. It's a very wide roadster car. Of course, this happens to be the hardtop version. I believe you can actually remove that center section if you want. It has sort of semi-fastback design to it, but a great car. This is the GXP, which I believe comes with a small turbo. But I've gotten to drive the Saturn Sky version of this many years ago, and I'm going to tell you, these are fun cars. Do not underestimate them. They are got a beautiful wide stance. I think these cars would be ideal for autocross. And I know that there was a company that shoehorned an LS engine in there, so you're talking about a massive amount of power in a car that is very light, nimble, and agile. And yeah, when I did drive that car, I drove the hell out of it. I kind of have a thing for, well, I have a thing for cars. I think we know that already. Classic Ford Cobra right there. Good looking car, very clean. From the special vehicles team over at Ford. And then right here we have this second generation Audi R8. This is the V10 powered version right here. Of course, it's gorgeous blue. Got the 10-cylinder engine right there, tucked way in there and way up that way for handling. And it's an automatic. I know we saw a standard earlier today of a different generation, the first generation of this vehicle. And one of the things they did was on your first generation R8, the carbon fiber ran throughout. They actually decided to split it right there. What do you think? Do you think it should have been one solid piece, or do you think it should have been split like that? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, you know I love my Aston Martins, and we have one of the new Vantages right here in this sort of weird gray color. I don't know exactly what to call it, but this is a great car. It is really impressing owners. I got to see these being manufactured in Gaydon at the Aston Martin production facility. Really, really like the car. It's got that big, wide mouth, but that's just better for airflow. And right next to it, we've got a whole slew of Infinities. I actually really like, we've had one of these on our show, the Q60T. This is a fantastic car. Actually, I think ours was a Q60TS or SQ. I can't remember. It was the top of the line version. A total blast to drive. I would recommend it. Also, Infiniti, their cars, the Q60 and the Q50, have some of my favorite smelling interiors. I know that sounds like a weird compliment to give a car, but I love the way cars smell on the inside. I don't use air fresheners or scented anything because I think it takes away from how good the car naturally smells. And right here we've got an absolutely gorgeous spec on this McLaren 720S. I love the blue and the orange calipers and like pinstripe that runs through there. Of course, all the exposed carbon fiber around the headlight and around the top right there. You know, this orange and blue color combination reminds me of the Gulf Oil Company. If you're familiar with older racing, you've seen that logo quite a lot. You can see the exposed carbon material here. This looks more like a short fiber technology as opposed to a traditional weave, like you would see there on the steering wheel. But this interior is stunning and decked out to the nines, and the camera's not giving it really full justice. It's making it look like it's kind of a yellowy color, but it is actually orange. And this is a fantastic spec'd car. Actually, probably one of the best I've seen. I'm pretty blown away by it. So of course, right there you've got your gauge cluster, but it does come up, fold up like that. But this spec, and the wheels too, they're not black. They're sort of a gunmetal gray. And the spoiler, the active arrow is partially deployed there to show you that it does come up. This is one of the most prettiest versions I've seen, actually. I love it. I would snag this up in a heartbeat. Of course, one of the things that makes this car special is, yes, it's a state-of-the-art supercar, but unlike other supercars, you could actually see out of the back. If you look right here, this is all, you can all see through this, and it's carbon fiber that supports this entire structure. But the engine, they've got the engine sitting so low that you can actually see out of the back, which is surprisingly something you can't typically do in a lot of your Lamborghinis and Ferraris. But this is an absolutely stunning spec on this car. This is one of the most creative and best looking examples of 720S I've seen. This time last year, I think, I photographed this 1948 Lincoln in this same spot. I love it. This car is absolutely gorgeous in a deep dark blue, polished parts throughout. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous car. And I love these classic interiors. Look at that big radio right there. That's just neat. I love the big body. I love the big fenders, and just it's such a beautiful car to look at. This is definitely a designer's car. I don't think accounting got in the way of the design of this one. And of course, right behind it, we've got a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. It's got 350 badging on it from what you might find on an F-body. It's got aftermarket wheels, so this thing probably scoots a little bit. It's probably just as much go as it is show. I love your movies, man. I love your movies. So that was pretty cool. Over here, we've got the rear-wheel drive Huracan, the 582. I was actually at this dealership's showroom yesterday. I was actually picking up something for the show. No, it's not a car. I wish it was. It's car related, obviously, but it is for the future of combustion chamber. This is a fantastic car if you want, to get that real kind of driver experience, just rear-wheel drive. This is an option that they have. I actually saw them wheel this out yesterday and put another car in its place. I'll put that video online on our Instagram and stuff, so you can check that out. If you do like what you see, though, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, sometimes Twitter. Also, hit that subscribe button and bell icon for instant notifications when we go live with new episodes. And we are going to gear up for production on Combustion Chamber Season 3. Of course, the lives are always going to keep coming out regardless. Right here we got this two-tone, beautiful Rolls-Royce Wraith. The Spirit of Ecstasy is currently retracted into the body. This silver and then dark gray two-tone I think looks fantastic. Rolls-Royce really kind of knocks it out of the park. These are basically luxurious tanks. Of course, that's what it looks like when the Spirit of Ecstasy has been retracted. You can manually retract it, or if someone tries to take it from you, it'll pop down back into the body. We have a video of that on our Instagram if you want to check that out. So this is a little hard to see because it's tinted. As a matter of fact, you can't see very much. It does have the beautiful woodwork in it. I can't see it right now. It does have the suicide doors, however. And of course the Bentley SUV. Everybody's getting into the SUV game now. I mean, all the way up to Lamborghini, because it's a viable market. And whatever keeps the fast cars alive. Now this is something special right here. That says 1989 Morgan Plus 8. Very classic in its design, though. An original, all UK factory-built RHD model shipped to the US in July 2015. It's powered by a Rover V8, 3,528 cc engine, 215 cubic inch. Cool. Morgans are such good-looking cars. It's nice. Right-hand drive. That's awesome. Great looking car. Right next to it, another Morgan. Check it out, a three-wheeled car. Let's go check that out. That's wild. Now this car is something else. Sign reads, says it's a 1934 Morgan Super Sports with a V-twin engine. Of course, they've left some of the tools out there. I assume those came with the vehicle. You know, hey, if you need to do this, you need to do that. To fire it up with that thing, that's wild, man. That is truly wild. That's a good looking and really neat, very unique car. Man, I'm glad this is out here. And a great car show is not great without some Dodge Viper action. This is a Viper GTS. We had something very similar to this on our show. Did some great burnouts for us. It was a final edition, however. And here is a raced out version of a Viper. So you've got the spoiler, the wheels, who knows what they've done to the engine. Check out the interior, of course, has been gutted just for racing. Really nice on the inside. Of course, the steering wheel is removable to help you get in and out with a little greater ease. Can't see too much, the hood is closed, but I'm gonna take a wild guess this thing is not stock. And over here we got a gorgeous Viper ACR. Now all of this is what the car comes with. The canards in front, big spoiler. So this car is, you can drive out on the street, that's how this one got here, but you can take it to the track and have a hell of a time. This is a great car. I hope they bring the Viper back and bring it back with that iconic 10-cylinder. And we spin around over here and we got Tint World of Orlando. And of course, they're Viper guys as well. Of course, they work on a whole variety of different vehicles. It's not just one or two kinds, but they have a Viper out here today, a Viper GT. A little red, white, and blue action. Good looking, that final generation. And right next to it, another ACR car. I've never seen one of these in white. They're always in a sort of a darker color, but it's got the Nuremberg ring right there on the spoiler. Like I said, this is all what the car comes with. And another ACR. Wow, guys, this is ACR heaven here. If you're a fan of Viper, definitely a good day for you. I actually really love this orange color a lot. I've seen it before, I believe, at a Cars and Coffee event that we covered. Gorgeous car. Of course, it's got your racing harness. And once again, these cars have become so advanced and so attainable for a lot of people that you can bring a car like this to a show, drive it, and take it to a track, and then drive it home. You know, they're so versatile and so nice. All right, we've got a lineup of a nice mix down this road right here. Porsche GT4, Honda S2000 became very popular after the first Fast and Furious one. That I believe it was a black one. Volkswagen GTI. Look at the, I don't know if you call it plaid interior. That's pretty cool though. Got a watch in there and everything. Maybe the watch is a special edition that came with the vehicle. Some manufacturers do that. A gorgeous blue, looks a little just like it's got a touch of purple in it, M3. I love this color. I actually cannot get enough of this color. BMW makes some of my favorite color of cars. Really good looking car. Then it's got this sort of gray interior that really stands out and sets off the the rest of the car. So it's good to have a lighter color interior on a dark exterior like this. Of course, one of my favorites, 1969 Camaro in Hugger Orange with the white rally stripes and that white interior. Got 302 engine. Oh wow, this one's a very different layout than what I've previously seen. I have not seen a carburetor setup like that on a first gen before, so that's wild. That is very cool. And right next to it, a Coronet with two dual carburetor setup. This thing looks like this one. I mean, they're all built for speed. They're muscle cars, but he's got 2 seats, harness, and a cage. So I'm gonna imagine this one scoots down the road pretty well also. I can get you a close-up look at that engine. That's pretty wild. That's a really wild setup. Now, it goes without saying I'm a huge Camaro fanatic, having restored a 67 with my dad, but I love the 4th gens, and I love the Super Sport editions. It's my knowledge, this is a 2002. It is one of 88 built for 2002. It's got a beautiful, I can never remember the factory name for the color, but just, I love it. Of course, the hood is functional. It does feed into the airbox. You can actually see that. Let's see, I don't want to get too close to the car. Right there. Of course, it's been featured. And the photography in this is Russ Muller. You've seen his car at some shows. A good photographer, does a lot of magazine work, and is truly a car enthusiast, not just a job for him. This car, obviously, it's been modified. It's got the painted valve covers, the aftermarket sway bar, headers. Really, really good looking car. I love my 4th gens. I don't care what anybody says about them. These cars are fantastic, and they're great for autocross. The interior is in fantastic shape. The leather is great. No cracked dash. Got the steering wheel radio controls. Back then, that was a big deal. Really fantastic. And why do I say this car is good for autocross? Well, look how far back the engine sits. That's actually an advantage for autocross. That's why you see a lot of autocross cars, like MR2s, for example. The engine's tucked, it's in the rear, of course, but it's tucked way close to the driver. A lot of people autocross these and really sling them around. You get subframe connectors from SLP. I have those on my 4th gen. Aftermarket panhead rod and aftermarket sway bar. And it's a lot of fun to thrash around. Of course, this car is fantastic and beautiful. And right next to it, we got a slammed dually pickup truck here. Beautiful flame paint job, custom work throughout. Convertible. I imagine this one's bagged, so you can bring it up just a little bit so you can get out of here. But this thing's like, this is wild. It's got plenty of room for everybody. It is bagged, so he can bring it back up a little bit. Look at that. That is massive. I'm going to tell you something, though. I bet this is fun to cruise around in. I like it when people do wild stuff, just kind of take it and make it their own. There is a truck community popular in other parts of the country that do a lot of stuff like this. You'll see them in various truck magazines that cover this kind of customization. But this is beautiful. And this thing is the whole bed, what used to be the original cab, the whole thing is tied together. And obviously you can ride it. And he's got some really nice paintwork right here. You got the skulls, pinstriping, sort of purple flames with the yellow. That is some good fine work. Have a good looking 6th generation Camaro SSRS right here. And this car, you can actually see the Camaro logos right there. I think that's pretty cool. Powered by the new LT motor. This is a ZL1, beautiful car. Not the ZL1 1LE, but just a ZL1. There's no just to this car. It's actually very powerful. I believe it's 620 horsepower from the factory, supercharged 8-cylinder. Gorgeous car. Of course, this one has a Hennessy window sticker on it, so this thing might be miles away from stock. So if they've modified this, I bet it's got a lot more power. Gorgeous Cobra. I've seen this one before at a few shows, and I love the dark gray metallic, and then the little light gray, the black, and the neon green accents that run throughout the vehicle. has a supercharged, a Roush charged engine there. He's got the neon green accent stitching. Beautiful, beautiful looking car. I like that a lot. A very modified and beautiful Audi R8. This would be the first generation. This one, of course, is V10 powered. Got some aftermarket aero there. Wheels. We look into the interior. He's got the Hans device, the racing seat. Beautiful looking car. I have not seen this on a vehicle before. I imagine it pulls air back into the engine somewhere. But I'm going to take a wild guess that this car goes pretty fast. That's cool to see one of these turned into basically a race car, because there's a lot of potential in this way they handle and the power that they come with. Classic Bel Air police car. That's awesome with the big red light. I remember growing up, we had a guy, Sheriff Caller, that he had a hot rod. That was a Dodge, but it was that weird kind of Texas police green, and he would run down the high school hot rodders. I'm old enough to at least have had a little bit of fun time with cars in high school. Now everybody just plays on their iPhone. Well, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office is out here. It looks like you can get your hand dipped in some paint and touch all over the car. That's pretty cool. Or I should say not car, but the police SUV. You might not want to ever end up in this part of the vehicle, right? Maybe right along here, right? Maybe see it from the outside, but back there is probably not the area you ever want to end up in. And here we have one of our most highest viewed episodes ever, and it was this 1986 Toyota MR2. Definitely check that out on our channel. This car is super clean and outstanding condition. I'm going to show you just how clean it is. If we come up here to the front trunk, that's what the owner calls it. I mean, you've got your bag there, you've got your jack, your tire. Just look how super clean this car is, how beautifully well maintained it is. And this is an original car. Great looking black and blue two-tone interior. And look at that. Super clean interior. Even still has the old school tape deck in it. Some of our viewers might not know what tapes are. But we had this on our show. I had the pleasure of driving it. Very popular on our channel, and with good reason. Of course, the engine compartment is original and beautifully clean. Just such a gorgeous car to look at. And he's got his information board right here. You can see, featured on Combustion Chamber. So definitely a great car. Definitely check that out. You know what? I'll put a link to this below, along with the Porsche that we saw earlier, both that have been on our show. But this car is really outstanding and a lot of fun to drive. And we come down this way, we've got a nice Toyota Supra. Of course, they're bringing the Supra back, but this is the classic. This is the one everybody loves. Great looking car. Black with a very light interior. We come down here, and guess what? I have no idea what this is. So let's go look at the information card. A 1992 Mosler Concierge GTP. You know, I probably didn't pronounce any of that correctly, but I've never seen one of these before. If you know about this car, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know more about it. Really slick. Obviously built for the track. And of course, we have another Porsche here today. We've got a lot of Porsche out here today. We're going to see some more soon enough. Looks real striking and really beautiful in yellow. Of course, he's got the harness and the seats. A bit of a cage there. Now we swing around over here. Volkswagen GTI. White with those blue rims. You know, there's an R8 that has a real similar wheel style and color to it that we see often at mini shows. So good looking car. Got some Audi action as well. And if we cross over here, a GT2 RS. Real striking car. Interesting wheel combination with the red, but looks good. That carbon fiber runs throughout. And next to it, we've got a GT3 in this absolutely gorgeous. Love the interior as well. Love the blue seat belts there. But really a good looking car. Absolutely love the blue on this. I don't know what an X51 is, but we have one here today. Good looking car. And of course the classic. You know, we've had the pleasure of seeing this classic at some other shows. And you know, the late model stuff is fantastic, but seeing this is really nice. So we have a lot of Porsche out here today, which is really, really nice. And it's cool. Let's check this out. He's got a toy version right there. Interior's in fantastic shape. And we switch from German to some American muscle here. It's a Resto Mod Chevelle with an LS3. This would be a 1967 Chevelle. So he's got that 6.2 liter LS3, which has plenty of horsepower stock, but you can see he's got headers on it. Obviously aftermarket air intake. Beautiful blue Resto Mod. He's got the 5-spoke wheels, and then he's got Willwood power brakes, and no doubt power steering, of course. And then a beautiful tan, no, tan is not the word, a darker leather style interior with carbon fiber inlay around the gauges. So he's got a touchscreen stereo system stick shift, which is awesome. And some interior panels are painted to match the car. And right here we've got a Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. Really, really awesome car. 10-cylinder car. Beautiful in this pearl orange color. Absolutely fantastic. Don't touch because it's hot. And don't touch even if it's not. So you've got a very slick interior here. Wow. That's very, very cool. And then we come here and we've got a very slick classic Bentley. Right-hand drive. Now this is something you don't see very often. Good looking car though. The front doors are suicide doors, at least that's what we'd call them here in America. Of course you got the badging and the hood ornament there. Very, very nice. Now this is something else. Classic fire truck here.
1921.
1921? Just been informed? Wow.
Especially those are rare. Yeah, they're probably only made like...
You don't see this at too many car shows. That's what makes this show particularly unique. So I guess that's the siren? I guess you spin it and it's the siren there. Wow. Sanford Fire Department even has Sanford right there on it. This is very cool.
Yeah.
Also has some pretty good woodwork in the back here, where the other firefighters might sit. Nice. You know, I love my American muscle. We got even more of it here. An awesome classic El Camino with a 454 in it. Cal induction hood. You can see the vent is up right there. Wow, that's clean interior there. The Hugger orange valve covers and block. Wow, that is nice. And it is carbureted. Naturally, you know, a car like this, you expect it to be carbureted, but they have these fuel injection systems now for these that are real subtle and fit right where the carburetor used to be. So, but obviously a carbureted car. Beautiful, clean restoration. Love the dark red stripes on the black there. Really nice. And a classic Pontiac. I love this car in green. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful car. This would be early 70s. Not quite sure exactly what year. Really beautiful. I'm going to check the card so I can get the exact year for you guys. 1970 Formula 400. So you've got the functional air right there, comes in through the hood. And right into the air filter there. I wonder how it comes in there. Huh. Oh, maybe it does travel through these. You can see down in there. But this car looks beautiful in this dark, gorgeous green color. You can see it really just looks fantastic. I love my F-bodies, y'all know that. This is fantastic. Classic convertible Mustang here. Another resto mod. Sits a little lower, aftermarket wheels. Looks like they've done some work to the bumper. I think they probably shaved it and moved it in a little bit, it looks like. It's not chrome. I assume that's something that they did on this car. Definitely a nice, clean, kind of has that Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds look to the front end. It does look a little different. Of course, that movie with Nicolas Cage was actually a remake. A lot of people don't know that. Look at this thing. This is wicked. Probably worth a little bit of money. Take a wild stab at that one, but really nice. The Mopar always had those wild colors, the bright greens, oranges, purples. That is beautiful. Really, really beautiful car. Whew. And then right next to it, we've got a Plymouth in Petty blue with the number 43. Of course, Richard Petty. This car is definitely made for racing. As you can see, it's got the interior, got the cage, right? Proud to be an American. Awesome, as am I. And we swing around here and a Mopar engine with a replica of the same car on the hauler there with the extra tires and everything. Of course, Richard Petty, racing legend, also has the performance shop he has now where he just does all these really fantastic things to a whole variety of vehicles. Really outstanding stuff. All right, got the Porsche turnout today at this show is fantastic. So we've got this beautiful classic right here in a really neat green color. And then we've got this houndstooth with brown leather interior. This car is slick as all get out. Very clean. Just up a sunroof there. And we come right here, we got the Targa, that gorgeous, another variant of green, but really beautiful looking car. And as we make our way down this way, we've got a Lamborghini Huracan 610-4 Spider, which is a slick car. This is all black on black, black wheels, black interior. No real highlight stitching on the interior to speak of. It is totally blacked out here. Pretty interesting. I've never seen one spec quite like that, but it is pretty neat. Very fun car to drive, very powerful. I've driven a 610-4 hardtop, really liked it. Here we have a 488 GTB Ferrari in a gorgeous yellow. Let's go check out that engine in the back. Now let's stop and check out the interior. The wind is definitely picking up here. There was a fear of rain, but it looks like we're going to miss it. This car is a turboed engine here. Really fantastic vehicle and beautiful. And right next to it, we've got more Italian firepower with the Maserati GT. We've had one of these on our show, and I love the car. And surprisingly, not as difficult to work on as you might think. A little trickier than your domestic cars for sure, but very nice. This one's got a beautiful, very nice interior. Gran Turismo Sport Edition. Still has a CD player in it. I'm old school like that. But absolutely fantastic. And now the Alfa Romeo Giulia. Love this car. This is the neon green version of this is going to be in a new movie called 6 Underground. And as we wrap things up here, we've got 1986 Ferrari 328. Beautiful car. Really nice. Oh, the wind is picking up. I hope that isn't bothering y'all with the sound. Very nice. There's the portrait of Tom Selleck there as Magnum PI, which is a great show. And of course, a great actor. And then a classic Mercedes-Benz. I've been saving this one for y'all just because it's so rare, so iconic, really, really beautiful car. As you can see, this thing is made for the track. Very old school, but very nice. You even got those old school looking gloves there. But you've got your stopwatches and your instrument cluster. I've photographed this car before and I always like it. I think it's a really beautiful, really good looking car. Very, very nice, and in just such great and outstanding condition. I hope you enjoyed today's Combustion Chamber Live. It was a really great event, and I am very happy to have covered it for you all today. And also, the links to our featured cars will be below. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon for instant notifications when we go live with new episodes. Also, check us out on Patreon if you want to support the show, Facebook, Instagram, and sometimes Twitter. Y'all have a good one.